23 years ago, Sarah Mitchell walked away from the love of her life to marry a man and build the perfect life everyone expected. Now, at 51, divorced and finally honest about who she is, she's returned to the small coastal town where it all began. What she doesn't know is that Emma Torres, the woman whose heart she broke, never left. And Emma hasn't forgotten. This is a story about the courage it takes to claim your truth, the pain of living a lie, and the question that haunts us all. Is it ever too late for a second chance at real love? Sarah's hands trembled on the steering wheel as she drove past the faded "Welcome to Lighthouse Cove" sign. 23 years. The town looked smaller than she remembered, though the Pacific still crushed against the cliffs with the same relentless power that had soundtracked the best and worst moments of her youth. She'd rehearsed this moment 1,000 times during the long drive from Boston. What she'd say if she ran into Emma, how she'd explain. But now, pulling into the gravel driveway of her late aunt's cottage, the cottage she'd inherited and foolishly decided to renovate herself, instead of selling sight unseen all those practice words. Evaporated. The real estate agent had left the keys under a ceramic turtle by the door. Sarah let herself in, and the smell hit her immediately. Salt air, old wood, and something floral she couldn't name. Memories crashed over her like the waves outside. This was where she and Emma had spent that last summer, the summer before everything fell apart. She was unpacking boxes in the kitchen when she heard footsteps on the porch. Through the window, she saw her Emma Torres, older but unmistakable. Those same dark eyes that had seen straight through every defense Sarah ever built. Emma's hair was shorter now, silver threading through the black, and she wore paint-stained jeans and a faded denim shirt. Sarah froze. Emma knocked. There was no avoiding this. Sarah opened the door, and for a moment, neither woman spoke. "Sarah." Emma's voice was careful, neutral. "I heard you were back." "Emma, Sarah's throat tightened. "I didn't know you still lived here. Where else would I go?" Something flickered in Emma's expression. "I own the hardware store now. Your contractor called yesterday about supplies for the renovation. I told him I'd drop off the initial order personally. Of course. Of course Emma would be successful, rooted, exactly where she belonged. While Sarah had spent 2 decades in a marriage that felt like slow suffocation, raising 2 kids she loved desperately while dying inside, Emma had built a life here. "I should have called," Sarah said, "before coming back. I should have done a lot of things." Emma's words were sharp, but her eyes betrayed her. There was hurt there, yes, but something else too. Something that made Sarah's heart race the way it hadn't in decades. "But you're here now. So here's your order." Emma handed over a clipboard with an invoice. Their fingers brushed. The contact lasted a second too long. "I'll have everything delivered tomorrow," Emma said, already turning away. "Emma, wait," but Emma was gone. Walking back to her truck with the same purposeful stride Sarah remembered. Except now there was a weariness in her shoulders, a guardedness that Sarah had put there. Sarah closed the door and leaned against it, her heart pounding. Coming back was supposed to be about starting over, about finally living authentically after her divorce, after coming out to her children. After years of therapy and self-discovery. She hadn't expected it. Would mean confronting the woman she'd never stopped loving. Emma didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling of her small house 2 miles from the harbor, and let herself remember what she'd spent 23 years trying to forget. Sarah at 28. Laughing on the beach, hair wild in the wind. Sarah's hands, tentative at first, then certain, learning Emma's body in the cottage that now belonged to her again. Sarah's voice breaking the night she said she was leaving. "I can't do this. Emma, my family, everyone's expecting I'm supposed to marry David. I can't be. I can't be what we are. What we are. Even then, Sarah couldn't say the words. Emma had begged. She'd actually gotten on her knees in that cottage and begged Sarah to stay, to choose them, to choose herself. But Sarah had left anyway. Married David 3 months later. Emma had seen the wedding announcement in the local paper. Someone's mother had mailed it to her. Whether from malice or misguided concern, Emma never knew. She'd dated other women over the years. Had even come close to something serious with Rachel, a marine biologist who'd moved to town 5 years ago. But it had never felt right. Rachel had noticed, eventually called her out on it. You're still in love with someone else. I can't compete with a ghost. Emma had denied it. But Rachel was right. Now Sarah was back. And Emma had to figure out how to coexist in a town this small without losing her mind. The hardware store opened at 7. Emma was there at 6, doing inventory she didn't need to do. Anything to keep her hands busy. The bell above the door chimed at 8:15. Emma didn't look up from her clipboard. Be with you in a minute, she called out. Take your time. Sarah's voice. Of course, Emma's pen stilled. She forced herself to look up, professional, neutral. Sarah stood by the paint samples, looking lost and beautiful, and so much like the woman Emma had loved that it physically hurt. Forget something from your order? Emma asked. No, I came to apologize. Sarah moved closer. What I did to you, leaving the way I did, it was the worst thing I've ever done. And I've had 23 years to realize that. Emma set down her clipboard. Why did you come back, Sarah? Really? My aunt died? Left me the cottage. And Sarah's voice wavered. I got divorced 2 years ago. Came out to my kids, to everyone. Started therapy. Realized I'd built an entire life around running away from who I actually am. The cottage felt like a sign, a chance to stop running. That's great for you. Emma heard the bitterness in her own voice. Really? But that doesn't explain why you're in my store at 8 in the morning. Because I owe you more than an apology. I owe you an explanation. Sarah's eyes were bright with unshed tears. I was terrified, Emma, of disappointing my parents, of losing my family, of what people would say. It was 2002. Things were different. That's not an excuse, just context. I was terrified too, Emma said quietly. But I would have chosen you anyway. The words hung between them. Sarah's face crumpled. I know, she whispered. I know you would have. And I've regretted it every single day since. The renovation became Emma's excuse to be near Sarah without admitting she wanted to be near Sarah. She'd stop by to check on deliveries, to make sure the contractors had everything they needed. Professional courtesy, she told herself. Good customer service. Sarah saw through it immediately, but didn't say anything. Just made coffee when Emma arrived, learned without asking that she took it black now instead of sweet the way she had at 20-8. 3 weeks into the project. They were sitting on the cottage's back deck watching the sunset. The contractors had left for the day. Emma had stayed to review the progress. Sarah had opened a bottle of wine. My daughter asked me if I was dating anyone, Sarah said suddenly. Julia, she's 20. She was so sweet about it, said she wanted me to be happy. Asked if there was someone from before, someone I'd loved. Emma's chest tightened. What did you tell her? The truth. That there was someone. That I'd been too scared to choose her. That I'd spent 20 years wondering what if. Sarah turned to face Emma. She said I should find you, apologize, see if maybe ... double quotes, see if maybe what? Emma's voice was rough. See if maybe you'd consider getting coffee sometime? Just coffee. Just ... talking. Emma laughed, but there was no humor in it. Sarah, we've been having coffee for 3 weeks. That's all we've been doing, talking. I know. But this would be different? This would be ... double quote. Sarah took a breath. A date. I'm asking you on a date, Emma. Everything in Emma wanted to say yes immediately, but she'd spent 23 years building walls for a reason. I don't know if I can do this, Emma said honestly. You broke my heart, Sarah. Shattered it. I put it back together, but it's not the same. I'm not sure it can survive you leaving again. I'm not leaving. Sarah's hand covered Emma's on the arm of the chair. I sold my house in Boston. My kids are grown. This is my home now. I'm staying. You say that now. I mean it. Sarah's grip tightened. I'm not 28 and terrified anymore. I'm 51 and finally done lying to myself. I don't expect you to trust me immediately. I don't expect anything, but I'm asking for a chance to prove I've changed. Emma looked at their hands, Sarah's pale skin against her own tanned fingers. It felt familiar and terrifying all at once. One day, Emma heard herself say, "Coffee, tomorrow. The cafe on Main Street at 10. Sarah's smile was sunlight breaking through clouds. Tomorrow at 10. Emma drove home that night with her heart racing. She was either making the best decision of her life or repeating the worst mistake. Only time would tell. The coffee date turned into dinner. Dinner turned into walks on the beach. Walks turned into Sarah spending Saturday helping Emma inventory the store, laughing as they argued about the proper way to organize screws. By size, Emma insisted. By purpose, Sarah countered. Why would someone want all the sizes together if they're looking for wood screws specifically? Because then they can compare sizes for their specific need. They were both laughing now, standing close in the narrow aisle, close enough that Sarah could smell Emma's soap, something woodsy and clean. I missed this, Sarah said softly. Missed you? Missed us. Emma's smile faded into something more serious. Sarah, I need to know what happens if this gets hard. If people talk, if it's not all sunset walks and hardware store debates. What happens when it's real? Then it's real, and we deal with it. Sarah stepped closer. Emma, I spent 23 years in a marriage where I was performing, playing the role of the wife, the mother, the straight woman everyone expected me to be. I loved David, but not the way I should have. Not the way I love you. I'm done performing. This is the only real thing I've ever had. Emma's defenses were crumbling. She could feel them going brick by brick. I'm scared, she admitted. Me too. Sarah's hand cupped Emma's face. But I'm more scared of not trying, of wondering what if for another 23 years. I don't want to be careful with you, Emma said. I don't want to hold back, but I don't know how to not protect myself. So don't. Don't protect yourself. Let me in, and I'll prove to you that I'm staying. Sarah's thumb traced Emma's cheekbone. I'll prove it every day for the rest of our lives if you let me. Emma closed the distance between them. The kiss was different from the ones they'd shared at 28, less desperate, more certain. It tasted like coming home. When they pulled apart, Emma was crying. Sarah was too. I never stopped loving you, Emma whispered. I tried. God, I tried. But you were always there, just under my skin. I'm sorry I wasted so much time. Sorry I hurt you. Sorry I wasn't brave enough the first time. But you're brave enough now? Yes, Sarah's voice was absolutely certain. I'm brave enough now. They stood there in the hardware store aisle, holding each other, while outside the town went about its evening. Some people would talk, Emma knew. Some would judge. But for the first time in her life, Emma didn't care. Sarah was staying. Sarah was choosing her. And this time, Emma believed it. That night, Sarah invited Emma back to the cottage. They sat on the deck like they had weeks before, but now Emma's head rested on Sarah's shoulder, their fingers intertwined. Tell me about your kids, Emma said. So Sarah did. Told her about Julia, studying environmental science. About Marcus, who just graduated law school, about how scared she'd been to tell them, and how loved they've made her feel anyway. They want to meet you, Sarah said. Eventually. When you're ready, I'd like that. Emma squeezed her hand. I want to know every part of your life. You'll have time, Sarah promised. We have all the time in the world now. And for the first time in 23 years, Emma believed in second chances. Sarah and Emma's story didn't end that night on the deck. It began again. Real love isn't about perfect timing or easy choices. It's about showing up, doing the work, and choosing each other even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Some loves are worth waiting for. Some mistakes can be forgiven. And it's never too late to choose yourself, to choose authenticity, to choose the person who sees you completely and loves you anyway. Their second chapter was just beginning. What about yours? If this story moved you, consider what second chances you might be denying yourself. Life is too short to live someone else's truth. Your authentic love story is waiting. Maybe it's time to be brave enough to claim it. The end is just the beginning.